5 years ago, my girlfriend's father threw down 5 million yuan. He told me to disappear from his daughter's life. So I disappeared. 5 years later, I came back from studying abroad. My girlfriend had become a female CEO worth tens of billions, and at her side was a wildly popular pretty boy celebrity. Then her father came looking for me again. He slapped 10 million on the table. Win my daughter back. I refused with visible displeasure. Uncle, love is not a commodity. 100 million, her father said coldly. Dad, leave your daughter to me. Winter in Beijing. The wind could slice your nose clean off. When I walked out of Capital Airport, I was wrapped in an army surplus coat from a London flea market, dragging a suitcase with one wheel missing. No one could tell from the way I was dressed that this young man, who looked like a migrant worker fresh in the city, had 3 listed companies under his name, and I had no intention of letting anyone know. My phone screen lit up. A WeChat message. Zhang. Jixiang Club. 3rd floor, Songju Hall. Bonian. I stared at that name for 5 seconds. 5 years ago, President Lin sat in his top-floor office in Guoma and slapped a 5 million yuan check in front of me. Then he said one thing. You are not worthy of Xiaozu. Take the money. I took it, and I left. Now he wanted me again. The taxi stopped outside Jixiang Club. I took out my phone and scanned to pay. 28 yuan and 50 cents. After a 14-hour flight, before I had even adjusted to the time difference, I had already been summoned. The club lobby was laid with handmade Persian carpets. The air carried the scent of agarwood incense. A waitress in a kipao bowed and led the way. The doors to Songju Hall opened. Bonian sat behind a rosewood tea table. In his hand was a Jixiang clay teapot. Steam curled from the spout. After 5 years apart, most of his hair had gone white, but his back was still straight as a utility pole. Sit, President Lin. Sit first, then talk. I sat down. My backside had barely touched the chair. When he looked me up and down, his brow tightened. 5 years abroad, and this is how you dress. I glanced down at my army surplus coat. Then I brushed imaginary dust from my shoulder. Thrift is a virtue. This coat cost 3 pounds at a flea market. I have worn it for 5 years. That is less than 2 cents a day. That is called return on investment. Bonian poured me a cup of tea. Da Hongpao. Mother tree grade. 1 brew cost tens of thousands. I lifted it and took a sip. It scalded my tongue. Go on. A man who had not contacted me in 5 years suddenly asked to meet. This was not about catching up. Bonian set down the teapot. He was silent for a while. His fingers tapped twice on the tea table. He always did that before making a decision. Before throwing that check at me 5 years ago, he had tapped twice too. Xiaozu has a boyfriend. My fingers tightened around the teacup, but only for a second. She was my ex. After all, 1 second was enough. Congrats. Do not rush to congratulate her. He cut me off. Ling. I blink. Which Ling? That Ling. The traffic star who just won Best Actor last month. Ling. A top celebrity at the height of his fame. Over 100 million fans online. The kind of man who looked as if he had been painted into existence. Well, damn. So what? I leaned back in my chair. Your daughter got herself a celebrity boyfriend. What does that have to do with me? The corner of Bonian's eye twitched. He lifted his teacup and took a sip, then set it down again. 2-bit actor. He forced 2 words out through clenched teeth. His voice was not loud, but the teacup struck the table with a sharp clink. My daughter. The daughter of Bonian, dating some actor. Oh, so this big shot looks down on people in the arts. Uncle, times have changed. Now we call them entertainers. Not, I am asking you. He interrupted me. He leaned forward. Do you still want to win Xiaozu back? The air went still for 2 seconds. My first instinct was to laugh. 5 years ago, you paid me 5 million to drive me away. Now you ask if I want to win your daughter back. But the laugh never came, because he had said that name. Linzu. Those 2 syllables slammed into my mind. My heart clenched twice in a row. I looked down at the tea leaves floating in my cup. I kept my voice level. President Lin, what did you say 5 years ago? That I wasn't worthy. The corner of Bonian's mouth tugged. Times have changed. He pulled a black card from the inner pocket of his suit and pushed it in front of me. 10 million. Help me win Xiaozu back. 10 million. 10 lots of 1 million. 100 lots of 100,000. 10,000 lots of 1,000 yuan. My gaze stayed on that black card for 3 seconds. Then I took a deep breath, set down my teacup, sat up with solemn dignity, and looked him straight in the eye. President Lin, love is the most sacred feeling in this world. So, it is not a commodity. It cannot be measured in money. Bonian looked at me. His brow lifted slightly. The pioneers defended love's purity with their lives. 20 million. Although the idea of purity, in the modern context, is certainly open to debate. 50 million. But personally, I believe a person still needs principles. 100 million. My mouth snapped shut. The air went silent for 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. I picked up the teacup and finished it off, then set it down gently. Dad, Bonian, rest assured. I stood up. Both hands braced on the edge of the tea table. One bowed at a full 90 degrees. Your daughter's business is my business. On your household registry, my name will definitely be there. Bonian's temple twitched twice. He probably had not expected me to pivot so smoothly. Do not call me Dad. Okay, Dad, Uncle. He took a deep breath, then pulled a document from his briefcase. 3 months. Make Xiaozu break up with that actor within 3 months and get back together with you. We will pay a 20 million deposit upfront. Once it is done, the balance will be paid in full. Is there a KPI evaluation? What? Key performance indicators. For example, does holding hands count as one milestone? Does hugging have to be priced separately? Kissing. Shut up. Okay, Uncle. I took the document, flipped through to pages. Inside was Linzu's current company information, daily schedule, social circle, and even what coffee she liked to drink was noted. Americano. Iced. 2 shots. No sugar. 5 years. Her taste had not changed. My finger paused on that line. Right. Bonian lifted a paper bag from under the table and pushed it over. Change your clothes. If you go after my daughter dressed like that, I will be embarrassed. I picked up the bag and glanced at the tailored suit, the tie, the handmade leather shoes. The whole set would cost at least 200,000. Free. Nice. When I walked out of the club, my phone buzzed. Bank text message. Transfer in 20 million yuan. 0 yuan. I stared at that number for 2 seconds. The corner of my mouth lifted. Then another message popped up. President Zhang. The Q3 earnings report is out. Net profit for the group is 1.47 billion. Up 38% year over year. Please take a look. Lao Zhao, the CFO at my London company. I swiped the message away, then made a call. Lao Zhao. President Zhang. You are back in China? That Southeast Asia acquisition. Put it on hold. I have a new project on my end. What project? Bigger than the Southeast Asia one. I looked at the paper bag in my hand. Thought for a moment. Let's call it the Future Father-in-Law Satisfaction Project. 3-month timeline. Budget is 100 million, paid by the other side. There was silence on the other end for 5 seconds. President Zhang. Are you serious? Very serious. Also, help me check on someone. Ling, actor. I want all his business partnerships from the past 3 years. His investment records, and his fund flow. Run a check on an actor, because my future father-in-law does not like him. I hung up. I pulled my army surplus coat tight around me and stepped into Beijing's biting north wind. A taxi pulled over at the wave of my hand. I opened the door and got in. Driver. The Ritz-Carlton. Sure. Once I got to the hotel, I pulled out my phone and opened the delivery app and placed an order for delivery to the Ritz-Carlton Presidential Suite. Malatang Hot Pot. 19 yuan and 80 cents. 3 yuan off with the spend and save discount. Staying in a 5-star hotel was fine, but eating at the hotel restaurant was for suckers. Ruiheng Group's tower stood right in the middle of the CBD. 68 floors. All shimmering glass curtain walls. In the sunlight, it looked like a giant lipstick stuck up right there. I stood below and looked up for 3 seconds. 5 years ago, Linzu was still in college. She said she wanted to open a small company someday. Now she had turned that small company into a group worth 30 billion yuan. The front desk receptionist was a bespectacled girl. She gave me a quick look, wearing a formulaic smile. Good afternoon, sir. Do you have an appointment? No. We do not accept walk-ins here. I'm here to see Linzu. The receptionist's smile froze for a moment. May I ask what your relationship is with President Lin? I thought about it. Her ex-boyfriend. The girl's glasses nearly slid off her nose. She lowered her head and hurriedly jabbed the intercom, then covered her mouth and muttered for quite a while. When she looked back up, her expression was the kind that was barely holding back gossip, while forcing herself to stay professional. Sir, President Lin is not in. I just saw her car parked on B2. A white Maybach. License plate ending in 886. Right? The girl's mouth twitched. Sir, we are not at liberty to disclose President Lin's schedule. No problem. I sat down on the sofa across from the front desk, pulled out my phone, and waited. You cannot stay here. I was introduced by her dad. The girl's mouth opened a little, then closed again, helplessly. That sentence was a universal pass. It worked the same as saying her mom sent me. I waited 40 minutes. During that time, the receptionist snuck looks at me no fewer than 20 times. I knew exactly what she was doing. She was texting her coworkers. A guy claiming to be President Lin's ex showed up at the front desk. What do I do? Urgent replies, please. 40 minutes later, the elevator doors opened. The sound of heels striking the floor hit one after another, like nails driving into my heart. Lindsay walked out of the elevator. My breathing caught for half a beat. 5 years. She had cut her hair short. It brushed her shoulders. A pearl hair clip was pinned on the left side. She wore a dark gray suit dress. The tailoring was so sharp it could cut your eyes. Her chin lifted slightly. Her shoulders held straight. Her steps steady. Each stride measured as if by a ruler. She was no longer the girl from 5 years ago in Kim's shoes, riding on the back of a bicycle. She walked to a spot 3 steps in front of me and stopped. Zhang. Hi, my dad sent you? Your dad said. I don't care what he said. Her voice was flat, without a trace of emotion, but every word carried weight. When you took his money and left 5 years ago, whatever was between us was over. The receptionist's eyes kept darting back and forth between the two of us. The pen in her hand slipped to the floor, and she did not even notice. Xiaozhu. President Lin. She corrected me. Here, call me President Lin. I pressed my lips together. Fine, President Lin it is. Your dad gave me 100 million yuan to win you back anyway, so the name fee is covered too. President Lin. Can we talk somewhere private? No. Just 2 sentences. I'm busy. She turned to leave. Just then, the elevator doors opened again. Ling stepped out. He was a little taller than he looked on television. A little thinner, with skin that looked almost unreal. He wore a white turtleneck sweater, with the sleeves rolled to his forearms. On his wrist was a limited edition Patek Philippe. I recognized that watch. My company had used the same model as a prize in the year-end raffle. Second prize was stock in my company. But that's another story. Ling put an arm around Linzu's shoulder, naturally, like he was marking his territory. Then he looked at me. And this is. Before Linzu could speak, I held out my hand first. Zhang, her ex-boyfriend. Her dad sent me. The lobby went quiet for 2 seconds. The receptionist's pen dropped again. Ling's hand froze in midair. His smile was still there, but the light in his eyes had changed. He pulled his hand back, then turned to look at Linzu. Babe, is this the one you mentioned before? Linzu's expression did not change, but her jaw tightened. Let's go. Ignore him. Wait. Ling let go of Linzu and took 2 steps toward me. He was half a head taller than me, and the angle he looked down at me from made it feel like he was towering over me. Zhang, right? He smiled, showing a neat row of teeth. What are you here to see Xiaozhu about? I'm her boyfriend. If you have anything to say it to me. I tilted my head. Are you sure? Of course. Fine then. I cleared my throat. I'm here to win her back. Her dad thinks you're not good enough. So, I'm here to take your place. Oh, and one more thing. The budget is 100 million yuan. Fine. That line was definitely asking for a beating. But he had just looked at me like that. I might have been half a head shorter, but I was worth half a world more. Ling's smile vanished completely. He turned to look at Linzu, his voice dropping. Xiaozhu, your dad. I'll handle it. Linzu grabbed his wrist at once, her knuckles turning white. Go upstairs first. Ling took a deep breath, then looked at me again. The meaning in that look was clear. I've got you memorized. He turned and got into the elevator. The moment the elevator doors closed, Linzu turned back, a cold fire burning in her eyes. Zhang, here. If you don't disappear from my company within 5 minutes, I'm calling security. Your dad said, he is who he is. I am who I am. Her voice dropped, each word bitten out through clenched teeth. 5 years ago, you took his money and left without looking back. Now you're back with his money again. What do you think I am, Zhang? Something on a supermarket shelf. On sale, so you return me. Priced higher, so you buy me back. When those words stabbed into me, something twisted between my ribs. It did not hurt. It just felt tight in my chest. I opened my mouth and found all those slick lines I had prepared would not come out at all. I know you're angry, but Security. She raised her hand. Two burly men in black uniforms came over from the corner of the lobby. I raised both hands. Fine. I'm leaving. When I backed up to the revolving doors, I looked back once. She was still standing there, clutching that pearl hair clip in her hand. I did not know when she had taken it out of her hair. Her nails were digging into her palm. I saw it. I pushed the door open. The cold wind of Jixiang poured down my collar. I took out my phone and sent Bonian a message. President Lin. Progress report on the project to win back your daughter. Date, day 1. Action taken. Initial contact. Result, kicked out of the building. Client satisfaction, below 0. Recommendation, increase budget or adjust expectations. Contractor, Zhang. 30 seconds later, Bonian replied with 2 words, waste of space. Then another message came right after. Continue tomorrow. I tucked my phone back into my pocket and stood by the roadside for a while. The wind made my eyes sting. I rubbed the corner of my eye and muttered to myself, Linzu, you were right to curse me. I really am a bastard. My phone rang again. It was Liuji. President Zhang. The preliminary file on Ling is ready. There are 3 companies under his name. 2 are shell companies. The funds trail is very interesting. Also, from 3 years ago to now, through Ruiheng Group-related projects, he has indirectly profited about 170 million yuan. I straightened up. 170 million. He's just an actor. It all went through kickbacks from partners and related party transactions. And his next 30 million yuan apartment, the registered owner is not Linzu. It's a woman named Zhou Yao, a third-tier actress in the industry. My eyes narrowed. The north wind hissed past my ears. Keep digging. I want the complete funds trail. Understood. After hanging up, I looked up again toward the 68th floor of Ruiheng Tower. Linzu, you built the company to 30 billion, yet your judgment fell on a 2-bit actor. I raised a hand and hailed a taxi. Driver, the Ritz-Carlton. Use the meter. Even with a 100 million yuan budget, I still had to spend carefully. Early the next morning, I made a major decision. When chasing a woman, start with the spectacle. I placed an order on my phone for 520 red roses, with a card attached. President Lin. Regarding the matter of being expelled from the building last time, I sincerely apologize. Please accept this bouquet as well. Kindly check and receive it. Contractor Zhang. The invoice has been issued. Invoice title, Future Father-in-Law Satisfaction Project. The florist confirmed the address with me 3 times. Ruiheng Group, 68th floor. CEO's office. Yes, sir. We cannot deliver directly to the office. We can only deliver to the front desk. That's fine. The front desk girl knows me pretty well. Yesterday, her pen and phone dropped 3 times because of me. That doesn't really count as familiar. At 10:15 this morning, the florist called. Okay, but the front desk said the CEO was not on the 68th floor. He was in a meeting on the 48th floor. So the delivery guy took the flowers to the 48th floor. Then, the 48th floor is the finance department. My eyelid twitched. The flowers were delivered to finance. 520 roses were lined up at the entrance to finance. The card read, to President Lin, personally. Supervisor Lin in finance thought they were for him. He was so excited he almost passed out. A man in his 50s hugged the flowers and cried. His co-workers said he had only been divorced for 3 months. I hung up. Not exactly a smooth day. 20 minutes later, WeChat exploded. Bonian sent me an image, a screenshot from the Ruiheng internal group chat. It was a photo of Supervisor Lin in finance hugging 520 roses. Caption, which co-workers sent these? Even though I, old Lin, am single now. This is really moving. There were hundreds of replies below it. Every single one said, this is killing me. Bonian replied with an emoji, a cleaver. I hurriedly replied, Uncle. This is a probing strike, a flanking maneuver, the art of war. Cut the crap. If all you can do is send flowers, I would be better off raising a golden retriever than relying on you. I sucked in a sharp breath through my teeth. He was not wrong. Fine. Flowers do not work. Then I will have to go in person. At noon, I changed into a delivery rider's uniform, helmet on, delivery box on my back, and stood beneath Ruiheng Tower. The delivery box did not hold takeout. It held a handmade sandwich, rye bread, smoked salmon, avocado, 5 years ago. Linzu loved this most. The university cafeteria did not sell it. So I went to a bakery on the back street by campus and made it myself. I brought it to her twice a week. Delivery. 68th floor. President Lin's lunch. The front desk girl was wearing red-framed glasses today and looked up at me. Her eyes went wide as saucers. Shh. I lowered my helmet. Today I am a delivery rider. You were a former boyfriend yesterday. I would still recognize you even if you changed clothes. Young lady, the customer has already paid. If you stop me from delivering the meal, I will file a complaint for interfering with my KPI. What KPI? You are not even a delivery rider. Who says I am not? I have a health certificate, a food safety license, and verified real name registration on the Rider app. So are you a former boyfriend or a delivery rider? A former boyfriend who delivers food part-time. The two identities do not conflict. The girl's mouth opened, then closed. Closed, then opened again. While her brain was still frozen, I slipped into the elevator. 68th floor. The CEO office door was dark walnut. Warm white light spilled through the crack. I knocked 3 times. Come in. The moment I pushed the door open, Linzu was standing by the floor-to-ceiling window, on the phone. A pen was caught between the fingers of her right hand. Her left hand pressed against her temple. From the side, the line of her cheekbone looked painfully tense. She had not eaten lunch. An Americano sat on her desk. It had gone completely cold. Water droplets clung to the cup. She turned around. She saw the delivery box in my hand, then looked at my delivery uniform. Her expression went through 3 stages. First second, confusion. Second, recognition. Third second, murder. Zhang Yang. Your lunch. President Lin. I set the delivery box on her desk, opened it, and took out the sandwich. Rye bread, salmon, avocado. I suggest replacing the iced Americano with a hot one. People with sensitive stomachs should not drink iced coffee. Her movements stopped. Her eyes fixed on the sandwich. Her gaze pinned itself there. For several seconds, she did not move. How did you know I had not eaten lunch today? It was written on the schedule Uncle gave me. When you get busy, you forget to eat. You were the same back in school. During exam prep, you once got so hungry you fainted from low blood sugar in the library. Enough. Her voice rose sharply. Her fingers tightened around the pen. You think bringing one sandwich can wipe away what happened 5 years ago? I do not. Get out. Take your sandwich with you. And get out too. I did not move. Neither did she. We faced off for 5 seconds. I pushed the sandwich 10 centimeters closer to her. The sandwich stays. I can leave. I do not need it. You skipped lunch. You still have to meetings this afternoon. Making decisions on an empty stomach will weaken your judgment. What makes you think you understand me? Your lips are pale, and your right hand is pressing your temple twice as often as before. Her hand dropped from her temple. The movement was quick, as if she had been burned. I took 1 step back, then turned and walked toward the door. When I reached it, I paused. I did not look back. I changed the rye bread. In junior year, you said regular rye was too coarse and hurt your teeth when you chewed it. This one is finely milled. The door closed. I leaned against the corridor wall and let out a long breath. My heart was beating a little fast. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from Bonian. How is today's progress? I thought about it, then typed. Project report, day 2. Successfully delivered 1 product sample. Sandwich. Client showed significant emotional volatility, but did not reject the product. Assessment. This product has potential to awaken client brand loyalty. Speak plainly, Bonian replied. She yelled at me, but did not throw away the sandwich. Then there is hope. Then another one came in. Xiaozu loved that thing you made when she was little. She made my life miserable for a whole month back then, just because you left. I stared at that message. The corner of my mouth twitched. Another message popped up. Do not get cocky. Talk to me after you have held her hand. Hand-holding bonus. 50 million. Receipts can be issued. I stuffed my phone back in my pocket. 50 million. For holding a hand. I looked down at my own hand. 10 fingers. 5 million per finger. Now that was motivation. For the next week, my campaign to win Linzu back turned into a kind of performance art. Monday, camped out below Ruiheng Tower. Held up a sign that said, President Lin. I was wrong. Security escorted me away. But a passerby took a photo and posted it on social media. The post broke 1 million views. The comments split into, this guy is either true love or completely insane. Probably both. Wednesday, I had someone loop an apology video on the LED screen in the office lobby. Lin Zhu passed through every day. In the video, I sat upright in a suit and recited a poem I wrote myself. Xiao Zhu, do not be busy. Zhang Yang comes to surrender in good faith. I think of you while eating and sleeping, thinking of you until my stomach goes to war. That poem got torn apart online for 3 straight days. A literature professor posted on Weibo that it was the greatest insult to modern poetry he had ever seen. But Lin Zhu's assistant, a woman in her 30s with the surname Zhou, let it slip to me that when President Lin saw that poem, the corner of her mouth twitched twice. I thought that was laughter. Sister Zhou said it might have been a cramp. By Friday, Ling's manager called. They invited me to a Saturday night industry networking dinner. Mr. Ling would like a word with you. Her voice was sweet enough to curdle. Translation: Ling wanted to show me who was boss. Of course I went. Free food is not something I was going to pass up. Saturday at 7 p.m. A banquet hall at a 5-star hotel in Beijing. When I walked in wearing the custom suit Bonian gave me, the room was already packed. Most of them were directors, producers, and agents from the entertainment industry. A few business people were there too. Glasses clinked all around. The scents of perfume and red wine mixed together. Ling stood in the center of the crowd. White suit, a black boutonniere pinned to his chest. 7 or 8 people gathered around him. The laughter kept rising in waves. When he saw me walk in, his eyes lit up with the look of a hunter who has just seen prey step into the trap. Brother Zhang. He crossed through the crowd and came over, then threw an arm around my shoulders. Not hard, but the moment he did, his 5 fingers tightened on my back shoulder. Claiming territory, are you? Fine. Go ahead and hold on. Anyway, your girlfriend's dad is giving me 100 million. Come on. Let me introduce everyone. Ling dragged me into the crowd. This is Zhang Yang, Xiao Zhu's friend, ex-boyfriend. I corrected him. I smiled and nodded to everyone there. The air seemed to freeze for a beat. A few wine glasses stopped halfway to people's lips. Ling's smile did not budge, but the fingers on my back shoulder tightened again. Brother Zhang, you're refreshingly direct. Come on, sit, let's chat. What industry are you in, Brother Zhang? Seeming casual, but everyone in the room pricked up their ears. He wanted everyone to know I was just nobody. Technology. I said, which company? Maybe I know it. A gold chain producer cut in. He looked me up and down. I did a quick calculation in my head. My company was called NebulaTech. Last year, the Financial Times ranked it among the top 5 fastest growing technology companies in the world. But if I said that name out loud, there would be no finishing this dinner tonight. A small company. You would not have heard of it. The gold chain producer curled his lip. Ling gave a little laugh. He said nothing. The laugh was not loud, but everyone there heard the meaning behind it, just as expected. A nearby actress covered her mouth and whispered something to her companion. Both of them looked at me. I lowered my head and drank. Fine. Let things play out for a while. For the next 20 minutes, Ling began his performance. He did not attack me. He was too smart for that. He would not tear off the polite mask directly. He just kept talking. He talked about the investment in his new movie. 300 million yuan. A collaboration with Huawei. He talked about the new car he had just bought. A Ferrari SF90. Limited worldwide. He had waited 8 months for it. He talked about his relationship with Lin Zhu. Yesterday, Xiao Zhu said she wanted to go to the Maldives. I have already had someone book the entire island. Every word hit the same target, dead center. What right does a poor nobody have to compete with me? The people around us laughed along. Their eyes swept back and forth between him and me. I kept smiling the entire time. I did not engage. I did not argue. You booked an island. I once covered the data center project for an archipelago in the Pacific. But you do not need to know that. At 9 o'clock, the turning point arrived. The banquet hall doors were pushed open. A group of people walked in, all in sharp suits and polished shoes. Leading them was a bearded foreigner, David Anderson, founder partner of Vanguard Capital. I had worked with him in London for 3 years. He invested in my company's Series B. He made 40 times his money. By all rights, he should not have appeared at an entertainment industry dinner in Beijing. But life enjoys playing jokes. When David walked in, everyone in the room stood up. Vanguard Capital had invested over 100 billion yuan in China. Half the producers present had taken his money. Ling stood up too. He put on an even warmer smile and went to greet him. Mr. David. David shook his hand mechanically. His gaze swept casually over the crowd. Then he saw me, a huge, Genuine smile spread across his face. He left Ling behind. He strode straight over. He grabbed my hand, then pumped it hard 3 times. Zhang, my God, what are you doing here? The whole room went silent. Ling's hand was still held out for a handshake, suspended in midair, but there was no one in front of him anymore. I swore inwardly. I am done for. David. I tugged at his sleeve. I lowered my voice. Keep it low. David looked baffled. What? Why? I have been trying to reach you for 2 weeks. The board meeting is next Monday. David. I smiled through clenched teeth. Everyone here is a friend. We are just chatting casually. No work talk. Why are you at an entertainment party? Did Nebula start investing in movies? Nobody told me. Nebula. He said it out loud. The name crashed into the banquet hall. For 2 seconds, no one spoke. Not many people knew NebulaTech, but every business person there did. The gold chain producer's glass froze at his lips. His pupils nearly doubled in size. NebulaTech, the one valued at 60 billion yuan? David turned his head. He grinned. You know it. That makes this easy. This is Nebula's founder. David. I clamped a hand over his mouth. Too late. More than a dozen pairs of eyes snapped to me. On Ling's face, his smile and color vanished together. I let go of David's mouth. I took a deep breath. Well, this matter is a long story. David rubbed his jaw where I had hurt him. He looked completely innocent. Did I say something wrong? I looked at him, then at everyone in the room, frozen like stone. Finally, I looked at Ling. His hand was in his pocket. His fingertips were trembling. They made the keys in his pocket give off tiny metallic clicks. It is fine. Come on, drink. 15 minutes later, I walked out of the banquet hall. I took out my phone. Liuji, prepare a public opinion response plan for me. That big-mouthed David leaked my identity. Understood. Also, Ling's full funds trail is worse than we estimated. The funds he siphoned from Ruiheng are not 170 million. How much? 300 million. And it is still ongoing. My fingers tightened around the phone. Outside the window at the end of the corridor, Beijing's night light stretched into a sea of light. Liuji. Here. This project just got upgraded. The impact of David's outburst was bigger than I had expected. The next morning, 3 financial media outlets sent interview requests. 2 investment circle group chats were tagging me nonstop. A real estate magnate called me directly. President Zhang, you are back in China? Come play golf. I turned them all down. Liuji handled public opinion control. He suppressed the news that Nebula's founder had appeared in Beijing. But the people in the circle who should know already knew. This was not the situation I wanted. I came back to win back my ex-girlfriend, not to do business networking. A CEO worth 60 billion yuan chasing his ex-girlfriend, and a poor kid chasing his ex-girlfriend are 2 completely different stories. Poor kid means romance. Billionaire means ulterior motive. I did not want Linzu to think I had come back with some hidden agenda, though I truly had no other agenda. I just wanted to chase her and collect 100 million yuan on the side. But if I said that out loud, who would believe me? On Tuesday morning, an even trickier problem arrived. Linzu started investigating me. Sister Zhou called. Mr. Zhang, President Lin asked me to inform you that she is available tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. I sprang up from the sofa. She is willing to see me, in the form of a business meeting. She wants to understand your situation overseas. She wanted to find out what I was hiding. At 3 the next afternoon, Ruiheng Group's 68th floor conference room. Linzu sat at one end of the long table. A folder sat beside her hand. Sister Zhou stood behind her, holding a laptop. I sat at the other end. 8 empty chairs separated us, formal and distant. The night before last, Mr. David from Vanguard Capital linked you to NebulaTech at the dinner. She opened the folder. I want to confirm something. He drank too much. He did not drink that night. Sister Zhou added from the side. I checked. This assistant had some real skill. Linzu looked at me. Zhang Yang, what exactly are you? I leaned back in my chair. I slid over the edited resume I had prepared in advance. Overseas returnee. Foreign educated student. Independent investor. Managing assets of various sizes. Various sizes is cleverly phrased. It could mean 10 million. Or it could mean 100 billion. She looked at it for 2 seconds. She did not open it. I want the real one. Her eyes stayed fixed on me. There was no anger in those eyes. No sarcasm, only a tightly controlled appraisal, calm to the point of sharpness. That was the look of a woman who had spent 5 years as a CEO, All rhetoric and disguise became unnecessary under that gaze. I stayed silent for 3 seconds. I took back the edited version. I pulled another copy from the bottom of my briefcase. The real one. I pushed it over. Linzu opened it. She read fast, the way she handled documents. Page 1. London School of Economics. Master's degree. Oxford said Business School. MBA. Page 2. NebulaTech. Founder and CEO. Founded 4 years ago. She skipped page 3. Page 4. Financing history. Total raised, $1.8 billion. Current valuation. Her finger stopped on that number. The room went quiet. Sister Jo craned her neck to peek. The laptop in her hands nearly slipped. Linzu slowly closed the folder. Her expression did not change, but the hand holding her teacup paused for half a second at the rim before she brought it to her lips. So, you do not need my father's money anymore. Strictly speaking, not much. Then, why did you still take it? A question sharp as a knife. Why? Because if I had not taken his money, I would have had no reason to show up in front of you. Because without the excuse of being hired to chase you, a bastard who took breakup money and ran 5 years ago would have had no face to come back to you. That 100 million was not the price. It was my ticket back in. But those words, I did not say a single one out loud. I only gave a small smile. Because why not take free money? Linzu looked at me. A crease flickered between her brows. She closed the folder and pushed it aside. You can go. I already know what I wanted to know. She stood up. She stopped once she reached the door. She did not turn around. That sandwich. The bread had been swapped for the finely ground kind. You noticed. She did not answer. She opened the door and left. Before following her out, Sister Jo gave me a meaningful look. Translated, that look probably meant interesting. I sat alone in the empty conference room. I stared at the 8 empty chairs for a while. Then I took out my phone. Project report day 8. Client has completed due diligence. Contractor's core qualifications have been disclosed. Client response shifted from rejection to cautious observation. Major risk. Client may develop a trust crisis because the contractor's qualifications exceeded expectations. Meeting memo. Client remembered the sandwich bread had changed. Bonian replied faster than usual. You little brat. Are you richer than me? Then came another message. Doesn't matter. The 100 million contract is signed. No refunds. Get to work. Then after that, a screenshot. A WeChat group screenshot. Group name, Golden Son-in-Law Watch Group. Members, Bonian, President Wang Golf Buddy, President Zhao Wine Collectors Association. Presidently Neighboring Group, Uncle Fang Bonian's driver. Latest messages. Bonian, everyone. Intelligence update. This kid might be a hidden billionaire. President Wang, no way. You spent 100 million hiring someone richer than you to chase your daughter. President Zhao. I've seen this plot on television. President Lin, Uncle Feng. Did you lose money on that 100 million? Bonian. Shut up. Everyone, place your bets. Can he win her over in 3 months or not? President Wang. 1 million. He can't. President Zhao. 2 million. He can. Uncle Feng. My monthly salary is 8,000. I abstain. I stared at the screenshot for 10 seconds. My love life had become a betting pool for 5 old men. The good days did not last long. Thursday morning, I glanced through Weibo. My name was sitting at number 7 on the trending search list. Hashtag, ex-girlfriend CEO's broke ex-boyfriend turns out to be a hidden billionaire. I tapped in. There was another one below it. Hashtag, insider reveals Zhang took a 5 million yuan breakup fee and left 5 years ago. The images were a blurry transfer screenshot into photos from my university days. Wearing a cheap street stall t-shirt and squatting by the road eating Liuji cold noodles. The comment section exploded. He sold his girlfriend for 5 million. Now that he is rich, he wants to buy her back. Confirmed scumbag. Rich or poor, he is still trash. I put down my phone and took a deep breath. Ling. Aside from him, no one would leak this at a moment like this. After David's words shook him at the dinner, he probably needed 2 days to process it. Then he chose the most classic move. Define the narrative first. Before I could explain why I took the breakup fee back then, he pinned me in the public mind as a gold-digging freeloader who would sell anything for money. It was a seasoned move. I had to admit. That strike landed precisely. Lao Zhao, have you seen it? Should we hit back? No counterattack. Let it ferment. If I jumped out to explain that I took the 5 million because I was poor, because her father forced me, Then the whole thing would become a public trial of the Lin family's private affairs. Lin Zhu hated people using her private life as gossip more than anything. The last blogger who did that was sued by her legal team and paid 800,000 in damages. I could not do that, even if the whole internet cursed me. But one person did not see it that way. At 2 in the afternoon, Bonian called. Ling did this. Most likely. Bonian was silent for a few seconds. That little actor. His reach is getting long. Uncle, stay out of it. I will handle it. Tens of millions of people on Weibo are cursing you. How are you going to handle that? Getting cursed does not hurt me. He gave a snort on the other end of the phone. Fine. You have guts. It is true that being cursed by tens of millions does not hurt. But one person's opinion I cared about. I picked up my phone and sent Lin Zhu a WeChat message. It was the first time in 5 years I had contacted her first. I saw what happened on Weibo. It is true. 5 years ago, your father gave me 5 million. I took it. There is nothing to explain. After sending it, I placed my phone face down on the table. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. No reply. Half an hour later, my phone lit up. It was not Lin Zhu. It was Sister Joe. Mr. Zhang. President Lin asked me to tell you tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. That noodle shop on University Town Back Street is still there? My finger paused on the screen. University Town Back Street, Liuji Noodle House. After every exam, the two of us would go there and polish off a bowl of beef noodles with 2 extra eggs. I will go, I replied. That's what she said, Sister Joe. No flowers, no sandwiches, and nothing worth more than 50 yuan. Then what can I bring? She said, just bring yourself. I put down my phone and tilted my head back to stare at the ceiling. My heart slammed a few times against my ribs. Hard. The next night at 7, Liuji Noodle House. 5 years had passed. The street had changed a lot. The internet cafe had become a milk tea shop. The bookstore had become a Livestream studio. But Liuji was still there. The sign was older now. Half the red paint had peeled away. The last stroke of the character for G had been blurred by rain. The moment I lifted the door curtain, heat rushed into my face. The smell of beef bone broth and chili oil filled my nose. The 5-year distance was wiped clean in 1 second by that smell. Lin Zhu was already there. She had changed clothes. Not that sharp suit dress. It was a beige turtleneck sweater. The sleeves were long enough to cover half her palms. Her hair was down. No clip. When she saw me come in, she lowered her eyes to the menu. She did not look up. Still beef noodles with 2 extra eggs. Extra vinegar. No chili. She called toward the counter, Uncle Liu. 2 bowls of beef noodles. 1 with vinegar and no chili. 1 with chili and no vinegar. 2 extra eggs in both. Owner Liu poked his head out from the kitchen. His greasy apron was dusted with flour. Well, young Zhang is back. Have not seen you in years. You have put on weight. I instinctively touched my waist. I had not gained weight. This was muscle. A London gym membership cost £2,000 a year. That money could not go to waste. The noodles were served. The steam made my face burn. She lifted the noodles with her chopsticks and blew on them twice. I did not speak either. The noodle shop television was playing the news. The old air conditioner hummed loudly. At the next table, 2 college students were arguing over a game update. Their voices were loud. Everything was exactly like 5 years ago. Halfway through the meal, she put down her chopsticks. The post on Weibo. Ling posted it, didn't he? Most likely. You are not going to respond. No. Why? Because I broke the egg yolk in my bowl. Golden liquid seeped into the broth. If I explained, I would have to say your father forced me to leave back then. Then your family's private business would be dragged online for everyone to judge. Her chopsticks tapped lightly against the rim of the bowl. So, you would rather be cursed? A few days of abuse will pass. People online have memories like goldfish. Once a new trending topic appears next week, they will forget me. She looked at me. Something in her eyes had changed. It was no longer that sharp scrutiny. It was closer to confusion after staring for a long time and still not understanding. Zhang Yang, what are you really thinking? Her words were very soft. So soft they were almost swallowed by the air conditioner. I raised my head. Under the noodle shop's incandescent light, her face held a warm yellow glow. A little sweat had gathered on the tip of her nose. Her chopsticks lay across the rim of the bowl, at exactly the same angle as 5 years ago. So many words rose to my throat. About that 5 million. About those years studying abroad. about the dreams I had at night, about why I designed the company logo as a Tangli pear blossom when I started my business. But I only said one thing. What am I thinking? I am thinking I want to finish this bowl of noodles. Then ask if I can have another bowl with you tomorrow. Her chopstick spun once between her fingers. The muscles at the corner of her mouth relaxed, the kind of release after being held tight. We will see. Outside the noodle shop, a light rain began to fall. Fine threads of rain tapped against the sign, softly rustling. We sat there for another half hour. She talked about company matters, not like a CEO speaking to an investor. She was complaining. Last quarter, she negotiated 3 acquisitions in a row. Negotiations ran until 3 in the morning. The financial statement figures would not reconcile. It took 2 weeks to discover it was a system migration bug. I listened, occasionally asking a question. I wanted to trace the root of her company's reconciliation problem, because that bug might not have been a bug. But I held back. Not now. Right now, I was only her ex-boyfriend. An ex-boyfriend willing to eat noodles with her in a small shop, listen to her complain, and not interrupt or judge. When we walked out of the noodle shop, the rain had stopped. She stood in the doorway, holding an open umbrella. When are you planning to return that 100 million to my father? Why return it? You are not short of money. Why turn down free money? She glanced at me. There was the faintest, almost invisible smile in that look. Then she turned and walked away. Her heels stepped across the wet pavement. Each step splashed up tiny droplets. I stood at the noodle shop entrance, watching her figure disappear around the corner. My phone rang again. Lao Zhao, President Zhang. That Zhou Yao link to him posted a WeChat Moments update 3 days ago. The location tag was Sonia. The photo showed a man's hand. The watch on that hand was a limited edition Patek Philippe. Only 23 exists worldwide. The serial number matches Ji Ling's. I closed my eyes for a moment, put together a complete evidence package from me. The funds trail, related party transactions, and Zhou Yao's connection. Make it into a PowerPoint. Make it look polished. I may need to present it in front of a lot of people. After that meal at the noodle shop, things changed. Linzu did not suddenly throw herself into my arms and say, I forgive you. That happens in idle dramas, not in real life. But she no longer had security chase me away. In my evaluation system, that counted as a major breakthrough. Every noon, I brought her a sandwich. Rye bread, finely ground, salmon and avocado. The recipe from 5 years ago. Not changed one bit. For the first 3 days, I left the sandwich at the front desk. Sister Joe passed it on. On the 4th day, she had me deliver it to the office door. On the 5th day, she let me into her office, but only for 5 minutes. During those 5 minutes, she ate the sandwich. I sat across from her and watched. Neither of us said a word. By the 6th day, she suddenly looked up halfway through eating. You are just going to sit there and watch me. Watching you eat is more filling than eating myself. Her chewing paused for a beat. Then she kept chewing. She ate faster than before. The tips of her ears turned pink. I saw it. Pretended not to. Bonian's hand holding bonus. 50 million. No rush. That ear color change might deserve its own line item. Then, everything fell apart this Tuesday afternoon. I came out of Ruiheng Tower and went to the underground garage to get my car. I had not even reached it yet when one of the corridor lights went out. A figure was leaning by my car. White turtleneck sweater. Patek Philippe. Those 2 items alone would cover a down payment on a house for most people. Zhang Yang. Ji Ling's voice came out of the shadows. There was no smile in it anymore. Mr. Ji. I stopped, hands in my pockets. He walked over and faced me, less than a meter away. I will offer 300 million. What? 300 million? You disappear. Just like 5 years ago. The underground garage's AC units hummed in the distance. The echoes bounced under the low ceiling. 300 million. He wanted me to leave Linzu. 5 years ago, Bonian offered 5 million. From 5 million to 300 million. Inflation. My mouth twitched. Mr. G, are you sure you can afford 300 million? As far as I know, your liquid assets. I did not finish, because his expression changed. Not anger, fear. A brief, flickering fear. He was afraid I knew something. Whether I can afford it or not is none of your concern. He stepped closer. His voice dropped even lower. Zhang Yang, I do not care what you did overseas. But one thing is clear to me. You are just a speculator who came back to cash in on Bonian's money. You took 5 million and ran 5 years ago. Now, you want more. We are the same kind of people. We are not the same kind. Yes. His pupils shrank. We both came sniffing around the Lin family for money. The only difference is I do it with more class than you. When that line hit me, something inside my chest went cold. Not because I felt insulted, but because he was, in a tiny way, kind of right. 5 years ago, I really was like that. I really was freeloading. But what lay beneath that word? He could not see. I took a deep breath. The curve of my mouth slowly flattened. Mr. G, I do not want 300 million. Do not act high and mighty. I am not acting high and mighty. It is just that your offer is too small. His face stiffened. How much am I worth? You do not know. I looked him in the eye and said each word slowly and clearly. But I know exactly how much you siphoned out through Ruiheng Group's related party transactions. Very clear. The fluorescent lights in the underground garage hummed. They flickered twice. Ji Ling's face changed 3 times in those 2 flickers. First, shock. Second, denial. Once the lights steadied, his Adam's apple bobbed once. You are talking nonsense. 3 layers of shell companies. 2 offshore accounts. 300 million in total. I kept talking while watching his hands. And Zhou Yao's WeChat Moments post from Sonia. The watch on that hand is the exact same watch as the one on your wrist. Only 23 exists worldwide. I could recite the serial number from memory. Silence. 10 full seconds of silence. His hand was shaking. The tremor in his fingertips was small. But on the metal Patek Philippe bracelet, it sent tiny flashes of light quivering across the surface. What do you want? His voice had changed. It was no longer a low, pressuring tone. It was a rough rasp forced up from the bottom of his chest. I do not want anything. I took out my car key and hit unlock. Beep. The taillights flashed. I just want to win back my ex-girlfriend. If you do not get in my way, I won't sabotage you. I shut the car door, started the engine, and in the rearview mirror, Ji Ling was still standing there. His arms hung at his sides. His shoulders sagged. As the car drove out of the garage, my phone rang. Lin Bonian. How did it go today? Ji Ling offered me 300 million to leave. What? Calm down. I turned him down. Of course you did. I was the one who put up 100 million. You were not about to take money from both sides. Uncle, I did not reject the money. I rejected the principle behind it. Stop talking about principles. If you had any principles, you would not have taken the 5 million back then. Fair point. I cannot argue with that. Enough? What will he do next? I looked at the red light ahead and tapped the steering wheel twice with my fingers. When someone is backed into a corner, they either do something stupid, and he does not look like the kind of man who knows how to lose. So, he will do something stupid. The light turned green. I hit the gas. All I had to do was wait. Ji Ling's speed at doing stupid things was beyond expectations. On the 3rd day after the garage showdown, Thursday night, Lin Bonian's call came in. He no longer sounded like he was making his usual teasing remarks. Zhang. Something happened. What is it? Ji Ling proposed to Xiaozu. I pulled over to the side of the road. The hazard lights blinked on and off. What? This afternoon, at the Ruiheng Group internal celebration, in front of 300 employees, he got down on one knee, with a 10-carat diamond ring, and the whole thing was live-streamed. Did she say yes? Lin Bonian was silent for 1 second. That second felt longer than a century. No. She said she would think about it, but in front of 300 people, she could not say no outright. Ji Ling put her on the spot. My fingers clenched around the steering wheel. My knuckles turned white. Clever move. 300 employees. A full live stream. A public proposal. If she refused, she would humiliate Ji Ling and embarrass the company. If she did not refuse, it meant silent consent. He had locked Linzu inside a public cage. Uncle, the Ruiheng Group 10th anniversary gala is the night after tomorrow. I know what you are going to say. Lin Bonian's voice sank. That gala. I will be there too. You mean, Zhang? I gave you 100 million. I did not pay you to drag your feet. When it is time to act, then act. But, no more buts. His voice suddenly sharpened. Why do you think I brought you back? Because you were the only man from Xiaozu's university days whose name she ever said through tears. That 5 million was my stupid mistake back then. But if you take 100 million and still cannot win my daughter back, he paused, then I will have taken a loss. Beep. The call ended. I sat in the car. The hazard lights blinked on and off. The only man whose name she ever said through tears. When those words hit me, Something lodged in my chest. It was not pain. It was a tight, suffocating ache. It would not rise, and it would not sink. 5 years. She had cried. After I left, I had thought she would not. She was so proud, always smiling in front of others. But she had cried. I closed my eyes, tilted my head back against the seat, and let out a long breath. Lao Zhao. Here. Is the evidence package ready? The full set. Funds trail, related party transactions, and his relationship with Zhou Yao. The PowerPoint is done too. The night after tomorrow, at the Ruiheng Group 10th Anniversary Gala, I need a USB drive, screencasting equipment, and a technical setup that can hook into any big screen, in any venue. President Zhang, are you planning to do this at the gala? If Ling behaves himself, I will do nothing. But if he tries public coercion again, understood. Also, order me a new suit. What brand? What price range? Expensive. President Zhang, have you not always been frugal? This time is different. I hung up, started the car, and merged into Jixiang traffic. After returning to the hotel, I sent Linzu a WeChat message. I heard someone propose to you. 15 minutes later, she replied with one word. Planning to say yes. This time, the wait was longer. 20 minutes. Zhang Yang, is that any of your business? Not your business. But if you are only saying yes because you were put on the spot in public and felt too embarrassed to refuse, then you do not have to agree. Some things, I can take the hit for you. Read. No reply. 30 seconds later, it was not text, but a 7-second voice message. I opened it. There were no words in the recording, only a very soft breath, almost too faint to hear. And then silence. 7 seconds of silence. Nothing was said, but it said everything. She held down the record button for 7 seconds, wanted to say something, but could not get the words out. But she did not delete it. She sent it. Linzu, those 7 seconds are worth more than 50 million. The next day, Friday, I did 3 things. First, picked up the new suit. Deep blue, double-breasted. A Tangli pear blossom was embroidered on the cuff. The tailor asked what it meant. I said it was a contractor's tribute to the client brand. The tailor did not get it, but embroidered it anyway. Second, I checked Lao Zhao's USB drive and screencasting equipment twice. Every screenshot had been verified. Funds trail, bank statements, corporate registration records, and Zhou Yao's WeChat Moments post, plus the watch number comparison evidence. It was airtight. Not even a punctuation mark could be disputed. Third, I made a trip to the noodle shop. Uncle Liu, save me a table for tomorrow night. How many? 2. Same as always, right? But we might be a little late. No problem. I will wait no matter what time it is. When I walked out of the noodle shop, I stood at the entrance for a while. The air after the rain was damp. Light leaked through the gap in the curtain. A warm yellow line. Everything was ready. Tomorrow would be the endgame. I reached into my pocket and touched the USB drive. My thumb rubbed twice over the metal surface. Whether to use it depended on Ling's choice. I hoped he would be smart enough to back down. But I knew he would not. The Ruiheng Group 10th Anniversary Gala. Jixiang International Conference Center. 3rd floor banquet hall. 500 people were there. Executives from listed companies, investors, the media, and political and business elites. In the center of the hall was a curved stage. Behind it stood a 10-meter-tall LED screen. It was looping Ruiheng's 10-year growth story. I was wearing that deep blue suit with the Tangli pear blossom embroidery. I stood at the check-in desk and scanned the room. Bonian sat in the front row VIP section. Beside him were a few of his golf buddies, President Wang and President Zhao. Uncle Feng, the one who abstained despite earning 8,000 a month. Linzu was in the lounge beside the stage. She was wearing a black gown. A thin necklace rested above her collarbone. She was looking down, flipping through her speech. Sister Zhou stood guard nearby. Ling stood 2 steps behind her, one hand in his pocket, the other holding a wine glass. He was in a white suit, white shirt, white pocket square, like a groom. My stomach turned. You even hinted at the outfit color in advance. At least learn some restraint. The gala started at 7:30. Linzu went on stage to give her speech. She spoke for 10 minutes. Data, strategy, every detail of the team. Every word was cut with laser precision. The 500 people in the room were silent as a grave. When she finished speaking, the applause thundered. She was just about to step down when Ling walked onto the stage. No one had invited him up. He just came up from the side. A microphone was suddenly in his hand. The applause slowly turned into murmurs. Linzu stiffened for a split second. She turned to glance at Ling, and there was surprise in that look, a sense of foreboding, and a very thin layer of irritation. Ladies and gentlemen, Ling's voice came through the speakers, velvet smooth, with a perfectly calculated tremor. I know today is Ruiheng's gala, but there's something I can no longer wait for. He took a black velvet box from his pocket. The whole room sucked in a breath. He turned to Linzu and dropped to one knee. This time, it was not 300 employees but 500 industry heavyweights and dozens of reporters. Xiaozu, last time you said you needed to think about it. I gave you 3 days. He opened the box. The diamond ring burst with light under the stage lamps. Now, I want your answer. The room went silent. 500 pairs of eyes locked on Linzu. More than 20 phones went up to film. She stood on the stage. The lights hit her face, leaving nowhere for any expression to hide. Her lips pressed tight. Her shoulders drew in. Without realizing it, she had rolled her speech into a tube. She was smiling. A polite, tired smile, the kind you wear when you've been dragged onto a stage. I knew that smile. Back in college, when she was falsely accused of cheating in the dean's office, she wore that same smile in front of a table full of professors. It was not a smile because anything was funny. It was because she could not cry. My hand went into my pocket. My thumb pressed against the USB drive's metal edge. Linzu's lips moved. I stood up. The chair legs scraped across the marble floor with a harsh screech. All 500 people turned to look at me. Sorry. I raised a hand and called up to the stage. Excuse me. Ling froze where he knelt. His head turned slowly. Linzu looked at me. Her brow twitched. Bonian was holding a glass of red wine. The glass stopped at his lips. He did not move. President Wang leaned over and muttered, "It's starting." President Zhao fixed his gaze on him. Watch. Uncle Feng silently pulled out his phone and started recording. I walked through the aisle between the seats and went up onto the stage. My dress shoes hit the steps. Step by step, I reached Ling, and he was still kneeling. He looked up at me from below, his eyes full of killing intent. I did not look at him. I turned to the technical console beside the big screen and plugged in the USB drive. What are you doing? Ling stood up. The ring box creaked in his grip, putting up a slideshow. The big screen switched. Page 1. Title: Ruiheng Group Related Party Transactions. Suspicious Funds Flow Report. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 3 degrees. Linzu's pupils contracted sharply. What is this? Her voice was pitched very low. The system behind your company's mismatched financial statements. That migration bug wasn't a bug. I clicked to the next page. 3 shell companies appeared on the screen. The corporate registration records. All the legal representatives pointed to the same offshore account. The money came out of Ruiheng Group's partnership projects and moved through 3 layers of related party transactions before finally being funneled into this account. Amount: 314 million. The actual controller of these 3 companies was. My finger pointed to the small print in the lower right corner of the screen. Ling's name. The banquet hall exploded. The buzzing chatter surged like a kicked hornet's nest. Ling's face went paper white. You forged this. This is forged. He lunged toward the microphone. I clicked to the next page. Bank statements. Every transfer date, amount, and receiving account. The seal matches from the corporate registration records and the offshore company's filing documents. Page by page, line after line of dense detail. The originals have already been sent to Ruiheng Group's legal department and audit firm. I said, my voice not loud, but the speakers carried every word into the ears of all 500 people. Ling's hands started shaking. Not just his fingertips, his whole arm. The ring box slipped from his hand and struck the stage floor. It bounced twice, flipped over, and the diamond ring fell out. It spun a few times under the lights and stopped a centimeters in front of Linzu's toe. She lowered her eyes to the ring, but did not pick it up. Then she looked up at the screen. Her fingers tightened on the hand holding the speech, and she crushed the paper tube flat. And then, my voice sounded far away to me as I clicked to the last page. A screenshot from WeChat Moments, tagged in Sonia. In the image, a man's hand rested on the edge of a pool. On his wrist was a Patek Philippe. The serial number on the dial was crystal clear. Next to it was a close-up of Ling's wrist at the banquet. Same watch, same serial number, and beneath it, posted on WeChat Moments by Zhou Yao. The banquet hall went silent, completely silent. 500 people held their breath. You could have heard a pin drop. Ling stood in the center of the stage. The light stretched his shadow long behind him. His mouth opened and closed, then closed and opened again. This is not what you think. No one answered. He turned to Linzu. Xiaozu, listen to me. The money was just normal intercompany deals. Zhou Yao is just a friend of mine. Linzu looked at him. 5 seconds. 10 seconds. Her expression did not change once. It was not anger. Anger was too shallow. It was something deeper. The feeling that you'd spent 2 years carefully tending a garden, only to find the foundation hollowed out by termites. Sister Zhou. Her voice so steady it almost did not sound real. I'm here. Notify the legal department. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. Start a full audit. All projects involving Mr. G's affiliated companies that have done business with us are to be frozen immediately. Understood. Then she lowered her head, glanced at the diamond ring on the floor, bent down, and picked it up. Everyone in the room watched her hand. She put the ring back into the black velvet box, closed it, and handed it to Jiling. Your things. Jiling did not take it. His hands hung at his sides. His nails dug into his palms. His lips were trembling. Xiaozu, I love you. I can pay the money back. Mr. Jiling. Her form of address had changed. Please leave. Jiling took 1 step back, then another. His heel hit the edge of the stage. His body swayed. Below the stage, phone cameras flashed in a sea of light. Under those flashes, his face turned almost transparent, like an overexposed negative. His manager rushed up from below the stage and grabbed him by the arm. Go now. As Jiling was dragged off stage, his legs gave out for a second. His knee struck the edge of the step, the same knee he had used to kneel and propose. He made no sound, but his whole body folded inward, like a shirt yanked off its hanger. The banquet hall doors closed. All 500 pairs of eyes returned to the stage. Linzu stood beneath the lights, still gripping the crushed roll of her speech. She turned her head and looked at me. Only the 2 of us were left on stage. The big screen still showed the final PowerPoint slide. You knew all along. Her voice was not loud. I had been investigating for a while. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Would you have believed me? She fell silent. You wouldn't have. I answered for her. An ex-boyfriend taking your father's money to win you back. Telling you your current boyfriend was a fraud. You would only think I was playing dirty. So you waited until today. You waited for him to put himself on that stage, in front of 500 people, so everyone could witness it from me. That way, I would have no choice but to believe you. She stared at me. Her eyes were rimmed red, but there were no tears. The redness in her eyes was not the kind that flares up in a second. It was the kind held back for too long, slowly rising from deep in the eyes, forced down again and again, yet still refusing to stay buried. She took a deep breath and turned to the microphone. Everyone. Her voice rang out above the heads of 500 people, steady and clear. Today's gala ends here. I apologize for the disruption. Ruiheng's 10 years will not change course because of anyone's exit. Applause began, scattered at first, tentative, then growing thicker, until it became thunder. She set down the microphone and walked down from the side of the stage. When she passed me, she did not stop, but her right hand hung at her side. And as it brushed past the back of my hand, her fingertips grazed me, very lightly, like a butterfly passing by. I did not chase after her. Bonian stood below the stage. Half a glass of red wine remained in his glass. He looked at me. I looked at him. He lifted his glass slightly. He said nothing. Beside him, President Wang slapped the table excitedly. I bet $2 million. He'll win her back. President Zhao said, I placed my bet ages ago. Uncle Feng quietly stopped recording. How much is this video worth? Bonian turned back and glared at them. All of you, shut up. After the gala ended, I did not go looking for Linzu. She needed time to deal with company matters, Ling's mess, and the mess inside her own heart. I went back to the hotel, took a shower, changed clothes, then drove to University Town Backstreet, Liuji Noodle House. Uncle Liu, are the 2 bowls of noodles ready? Started them ages ago. They are waiting. Sit. Your friend still has not come. She may not come at all. I will wait. I sat by the window, at the seat that had been ours 5 years ago. There was a carved mark on the corner of the table. She had carved it with her key in sophomore year. A crooked little Tang character. Uncle Liu had scrubbed it many times with a rag, but it never came off. So later, he simply left it there. I traced that character with my fingertip. Grease and soot had settled into the grooves of the strokes. My phone lay on the table, screen facing up. 8:30. 9 o'clock. 9:15. Someone ran past outside the window. Two college students were fooling around. Their sneakers splashed through puddles, squeaking and squelching. The television was playing the weather forecast. Rain tomorrow. 9:20. The noodles had gone cold. Uncle Liu poked his head out. Want me to heat them up? Wait a little longer. 9:28. The door curtain was lifted. She stood in the doorway. She had a gray padded coat wrapped around the upper half of her black dress. It was not hers. From the size, it looked borrowed from a security guard. Her hair had come loose. A few wind-blown strands clung to her cheeks. Her eyes were still red. The heel of her right high heel was smeared with mud. She stood there, breathing hard, her chest rising and falling, as if she had run all the way here. I sat in my chair without moving. She did not move either. The noodle shop's incandescent light lit up. The 3 meters between us, bright and bare. The noodles are cold, I said. Her lips moved slightly. Uncle Liu, I called, turning my head. I know. Heating the noodles. Uncle Liu's voice came from the kitchen, with the spatula clanging behind it. She walked over, pulled out the chair across from me, and sat down. The zipper on the padded coat was not done up properly. The collar sat crooked, her eyes fixed on the Tang character at the table corner. She reached out and pressed a finger into the carved mark. It is still here, she said. Uncle Liu could not scrub it off. You carved it too deep. The corner of her mouth twitched. It was a smile, not a bitter one. It was the kind she could not control, rising from somewhere deep, inside her chest and bones. Then her tears fell. Without a sound, they simply fell, onto the tabletop, into the strokes of that Tang character. She wiped them with the back of her hand. The more she wiped, the more they came. I did not offer a tissue, because I knew she would not want one. She never wanted anyone handing her tissues. In sophomore year, she once cried downstairs from the dorms with a high fever after getting soaked in a storm. When I gave her a tissue, she threw it away. She said, "Can a tissue bring down a fever?" So I just sat there, watching her cry, watching her shoulders shake, watching her tears soak the character on the table corner. After about 2 minutes, maybe longer, her breathing slowly steadied. She wiped her face with her sleeve and sniffed. Did you find out about Ling long ago? I got the full evidence a week ago. Why wait until today? Did you not already ask me that? I am asking again. Her voice was hoarse, thick with tears. I looked into her eyes, because he would not stop. That day in the parking garage, when he knew I had something on him, he tried to pay me 300 million to keep quiet. A man willing to throw down 300 million for silence would never back off quietly. He'd raise the stakes with the proposal. That was the escalation. He wanted to lock you in before you could say no. So you waited for him to make his move. Waited until he played his biggest card. Then you flipped the whole table. She lowered her head. Her finger drew a circle on the tabletop. Then another. Why did you take that 5 million back then? Uncle Liu brought over the reheated noodles. The rim of the bowl knocked against the table, and a few drops of broth splashed out. He glanced at her red eyes, then at me. He opened his mouth, but said nothing. He quietly retreated to the kitchen. I lowered my head and looked at the noodles in my bowl. Beef hand-pulled noodles, 2 extra eggs, vinegar, no chili. Because your father was right. Back then I really was not worthy of you. I never thought that. But your father did. The whole world did. A poor kid with nothing, standing beside Bonian's daughter. Everyone looked at you with pity. I could stand being looked down on. I could not stand people pitying you. Her chopstick stopped in the bowl. So, you took the money and left. I took the money. Then I had travel money. I went to London, worked, studied, started a business, used that 5 million as seed money, and multiplied it 10,000 times. I lifted my head. Then I came back for you. Her chopstick stirred once through the noodle broth, swirling up a tiny whirlpool. You are worth 60 billion. And you still took 100 million from my father. Are you not ashamed? Free money. Why would I not take it? I know. She cut me off. The smile at the corner of her mouth finally could not be hidden, lifting through the tear tracks. Zhang, are you shameless as they come? More or less. A basic quality for any chief executive officer. She lowered her head and took a bite of noodles. Chewed twice, then stopped. Finally milled rye. She said, your company's logo is a Tangli pear blossom. How did you know? Did you think I never looked into you these past 5 years? Under the table, my fingers clenched tight. You knew Nebula was my company. I knew a year ago. NebulaTech's founder does not release photos to the public. but the company logo is a Tangli pear blossom. There are many people in the world named Zhang, but the one who would use a Tangli pear blossom as a logo. She lifted her head and looked at me. Her eyes were red-rimmed. The tip of her nose was red. One undried tear still clung to her lashes. Only you. The noodle shop's light bulb buzzed. The air conditioner blew with a low rush. The next table was empty. I sat there, mouth open, unable to say a single word. So she had known all along. Then why had she still driven me away? Why had she scolded me? Why had she had security escort me out? Because when you left back then, you did not say a single word to me. She set down her chopsticks. Her voice dropped. I could accept you being poor. I could accept you having no prospects. But you left without a goodbye, Zhang. That is what you owe me. I know. You know now. I knew 5 years ago. Then why did you not? Because I was afraid. She froze. Afraid you would tell me not to go. If you had said it, I could not have left. Then there would be no Nebula today. I would always be that poor kid. Your father sent away with 5 million. Whether I was worthy of you was not about what you thought. It was what I thought. The noodle shop fell silent. Only the water in the pot bubbled softly. Her hand reached across, past the 2 bowls of noodles, past the carved Tang character at the table corner. Her fingertips touched the back of my hand. This time, it was not a fleeting brush. She stayed there. All 5 fingers slowly slipped between mine. The warmth of her palm came through. A little cool, because she had just run in from outside, and her hand had not warmed yet. I turned my hand and held hers, tightly, knuckle pressed against knuckle. Zhang, I am here. You have to return that 100 million to my father. Can I pay in installments? You are worth 60 billion. What installments? That money is all company assets. It is not the same as my personal account. Stop pretending you are broke. Fine. But your father said the hand-holding bonus is 50 million. Can we settle that first? I just held your hand. She yanked her hand back. What hand-holding bonus? The KPI your father set. 50 million for hand-holding. Kissing probably still needs negotiation. Her face flushed crimson, burning from the base of her neck to the tips of her ears. Bonian. She pulled out her phone to call him. I quickly pressed down on her hand. No. Your father's golden son-in-law watch group is still betting. If you call him now, Uncle Fang's video will have been for nothing. What video? What watch group? Well, it is a long story. Zhang, start from the beginning. Outside the noodle shop curtain, Uncle Liu was pressed to the window, peeking in. He gave his wife in the kitchen a thumbs up. It worked. Outside, at some point, a fine rain had begun to fall again. Slanting threads of rain landed on the sign. Washing clean the G character with half its red paint peeled away. Inside the shop, the 2 bowls of noodles cooled again. But this time, no one asked to heat them up, because the hands had found each other again. Over the Tang character carved at the table corner, the tear marks had dried. Only the deep carved lines remained. Carved 5 years ago. 5 years later, the person had come back. My phone buzzed 4 times in a row in my pocket. I took it out and looked. Bonian's WeChat group. Golden Son-in-Law Watch Group. New messages. President Zhao. President Lin. Congratulations. I won. 2 million received. Thank you. President Wang. It worked. That fast? Uncle Fang. President Lin. I have the whole thing on video. How do we handle the copyright fee? Bonian. Shut up, all of you. Bonian at Zhang. Return the 100 million within 3 days. The interest is waived. A voice message followed immediately. I opened it. You brat. After a 2-second pause. Thank you. I flipped my phone over and set it face down on the table. Across from me, Lindsay was poking the egg yolk in her bowl with her chopsticks. The golden liquid streamed into the soup. It was exactly the same as 5 years ago. She did not look up, but the corners of her mouth were lifted. I looked at her for a long time. Then I took the egg from my own bowl and put it into hers. What are you doing? You have gotten thin. Eat one more. Her chopsticks paused. You are the one who has gotten thin. Then she put the egg back into my bowl. I moved it back over. She moved it back again, back and forth, 4 times. The yolk broke. The soup turned orange. Uncle Liu shouted from the kitchen. If the egg breaks, then just drink the soup. Don't waste food. The 2 of us laughed at the same time. Our laughter mingled together. Under the noodle shop's incandescent lights, warm and bright, the rain outside had eased. The street light on the corner was on, turning the wet road into a mirror. The mirror reflected the noodle shop's lights. and the two shadows sitting side by side in that light. 5 years. One bowl of noodles apart. At last, we have found our way back.